This is Brent Verkus with the Market Timing Academy. In today's video, I'm going to give you an overview of one of the tools that we use on the internet to help evaluate stocks. This tool is called the IBD Stock Checkup, which is put together by the Investors Business Daily. You can find this at www.investors.com. What this tool does for us is it gives us a very simple overview of whether or not we should consider a stock for purchase or not. And so we take this as our starting point, and then from there we will evaluate a stock in greater detail, but this gives us a good start. In this case, we're going to use Apple Computer as an example. The first thing that you're going to see here is what's called the IBD composite rating, which is their overall rating on how well this stock does compared to its peers. IBD ranks it between 1 and 100, 100 being the best, 1 being the worst. In this case, you can see Apple Computer is a 99. We consider only stocks with an 80 or above. Just to the right of that, you'll see a description of what the company does. Okay, and then underneath, you'll see a broad overview of the 5 main components that IBD ranks stocks on. You've got the composite rating, the earnings per share rating, the relative strength rating, the SMR rating, and the accumulation distribution ranking. And then if you highlight one of these categories, you'll see over to the right, you'll see the top 5 stocks within that industry sector and how they rank amongst their peers. And so in this case, you can see the best in the group is Apple Computer, and so that's why they're ranked 99. So we only consider stocks with a ranking of 80 or above under the composite, 80 or above under the earnings per share, 80 or above under the relative strength. We will consider sometimes a 75, but really we try to focus on 80 or above. And then the SMR ranking, we only choose from stocks that have an A, B, or C rating. And then accumulation distribution, we try to focus on stocks that have also an A, B, C rating, not in this case an E. So this would be a red flag for us when we evaluate a stock. The next section is what IBD calls their stock checklist section. Now the first thing you're going to see here is a general market summary giving you an idea of what direction the market's headed. In this case, you'll see the market is in a confirmed uptrend, which is a good thing. The other thing it does is it gives you a little visual here as it relates to whether or not this is a red flag or a good thing, and so they do it like a traffic light. Green is good, yellow is show caution, red is probably do not act or stop. The next section is the industry group ranking. In this case, you can see that Apple is a 36. Investors Business Daily ranks 197 different industry groups, and so that's a good thing that they're number 36. The next is the fundamental performance section. First section is current earnings, which you'll see the earnings per share due date, so you know when the next time it's going to be reporting earnings, the earnings per share rating, the earnings per share percentage change from last quarter, the last 3 quarters average earnings per share growth, the number of quarters of earnings per share acceleration, earnings per share estimated change for the current quarter, estimate revisions. So in this case, you'll see that there's been some upward revisions, which is a good thing. And then the last quarter's earnings surprise, which says 35% of the analysts got surprised by the earnings that the company produced. So that's, again, a good thing. Next section is the annual earnings, which is your 3-year earnings per share growth rate, consecutive years of annual earnings per share growth, and the earnings per share percentage from the last year. So in this case, you'll see Apple is doing very well, 51% earnings per share growth. We look for stocks with at least 25. The next section is the sales margin and return on equity section. You're going to get the SMR ranking, the sales percentage change last quarter, the 3-year sales growth, annual pre-tax margin, annual return on equity, and the debt to equity ratio. Again, in this case, you can see Apple showing all green lights here, so that's a good thing. We're really looking at a stock that we should consider for purchase here. Next section is your technical performance section, which gives you some price and volume information on the stock. In this case, it gives you the price, the relative strength rating, the percentage off its 52-week high, price versus 50-day moving average, and the 50-day average volume of the stock. Again, in the case of Apple, you've got all green lights here, so that's all good news for us. Next section you're going to see is supply and demand. This is analyzing whether or not the institutions are accumulating the stock or not, which is one of the most important things you consider, as you know. It gives you the market cap of the stock, the accumulation distribution ranking, the up-down percentage volume, and the percentage change in funds owning the stock, and then the quarters of increased fund ownership. Now, this is where you're starting to see some red flags with Apple, and that's mainly because the institutions have not been buying this stock as of late. You can see the percentage change in funds owning the stock is down 3%, and the quarters of increasing fund ownership is 0. So again, this is a red flag, but in the case of Apple, I can tell you that the company is revolutionizing and changing the way that we use computers. I would not be overly concerned about this right now. These are probably just fund managers afraid to be late at the party, and so they're not buying it at this point. But Apple Computer, I would not show a tremendous amount of caution here. They're a very strong company. And then the last thing they give you is just a quick little chart on the stock so that you can evaluate whether or not this stock is entering a basing pattern. And in this case, you can see the stock has had a good uptrend and has in fact been going through a base since May. And so this is a stock that you definitely want to look at to consider acquiring, because the fundamentals really check out on it, but the technicals itself, the only red flag is whether or not the funds are accumulating or not accumulating the stock, which is important to know. But again, I don't think Apple's going anywhere. So this is the investors Business Daily Stock Checkup tool. Again, we use it extensively as a good starting point to research our stocks. We find it to be one of the best tools in the industry because it really gives us everything we consider to be important evaluation criteria in a single place to look. So I would highly suggest that you use this. You can find this at www.investors.com. This is Brent Burkus with the Market Timing Academy.